All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Lalema Aneja Dang, and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Polling is underway for the sixth phase of Assembly elections in West Bengal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Leaders' Summit on Climate today. Indian Air Force pressed into action to augment government fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Centre hikes oxygen quota for 8 states and union territory. Also unveils new plan for distribution of remdesivir. Government rules out door-to-door corona vaccination. COVID vaccination in the country crosses 13 crore 22 lakh mark. 4 more Rafale fighter jets arrive in India from France. Comptroller and Auditor General G.C. Murmu appointed external auditor of Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. And Chennai Super Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 18 runs in IPL cricket. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise again, we appeal to our listeners not to lower the guard, take all the precautions, and all those above 45 years to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Polling is underway for the 6th phase of Assembly elections in West Bengal. Voting, which started at 7 a.m., will end at 6:30 p.m. 306 candidates, including 27 women, are in the fray for 43 assembly seats spread over 4 districts. Ruling AITC and BJP are contesting all 43 seats. Congress, left parties and their alliance partner, Indian Secular Front, are fighting under the banner of Sanyukt Morcha. Now we go over to our correspondent Sudhindra, who is in Damdam Uttar constituency. Hello Sudhindra, how is the polling going on at present?
Lalima, you see the polling for the 6th phase has started at 7 a.m. and I am at booth number 190 and 191 at Sharda Shiksha Sadan in Damdam Uttar constituency. You know, so, due to summer heat, the voters usually prefer early morning or in the evening to vote, and I already see a large queue building up here in this particular polling booth, and I see more women voters here in the queue. And the voter security and polling personnel are wearing masks, and due to COVID protocol and even gloves, voters are allowed into the booth only after they undergo this thermal mapping and Lalima. Security personnel are ensuring the social distancing also. And all the booths this time have VVPATs to ensure that voters can be assured that their vote is cast to the candidate of their choice. And during previous elections, this physically challenged and those above 80 years have the preference to vote at home also, which will be videographed, Lalima.
Right. Sudhindra, tell us about some prominent candidates in this phase.
Yes, in this 6th phase, the high-profile candidate is BJP National Vice President Mukul Roy, who is contesting from Krishnanagar Uttar, who he was former railway minister. This Krishnanagar comes in Nadia district. And other important candidates, he is taking on actress Kaushani Mukherjee of TMC and Silvi Saha of Congress. Then the minister in the present cabinet, Chandrima Bhattacharya, she is contesting from Damdam Uttar, the constituency where I am right now there. And she is taking on the sitting MLA, Tanmay Bhattacharya of CPIM and Dr. Archana Majumdar of BJP, Lalima.
Well, thank you, Sudhindra, for that update. In view of the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, Election Commission has decided to allow maximum 1,000 electors in a polling station instead of the earlier stipulation of 1,500 electors. The special facilities will include mandatory sanitization of polling station, thermal checking of voters at entry point, either by polling staff or paramedical staff or an ASHA worker.
The Election Commission has deployed 779 companies of Central Forces for the 6th phase of Assembly elections in West Bengal. The Commission has deployed 107 companies of Central Forces for Barakpur constituency alone, which has a history of violence in the last few elections. The highest deployment of 278 companies of Central Forces have been done in North 24 Parganas district, followed by 181 companies in North Dinajpur district, 163 companies in Nadia district and 157 companies in East Burdwan district. The Commission said the move is aimed at conducting the elections in peaceful, free and fair manner. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged people in West Bengal to exercise their franchise in large numbers in today's assembly elections. Mr. Modi said the people of the state are voting to elect a new assembly.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address Leaders' Summit on Climate today. The two-day summit will be held virtually and Mr. Modi will make his remarks in the session which has the theme Our Collective Sprint to 2030. The Prime Minister was invited by US President Joe Biden to participate in this summit. Nearly 40 other world leaders are participating in the summit. They will represent countries which are members of the Major Economies Forum and those vulnerable to climate change, among others. The leaders will exchange views on climate change, enhancing climate action, mobilizing finance towards climate mitigation and adaptation, nature-based solutions, climate security, as well as technological innovations for clean energy. They will also deliberate on how the world can align climate action with inclusive and resilient economic development while respecting national circumstances and sustainable development priorities. The fifth batch of Rafale Aircraft arrived in India yesterday. The 4 fighter jets flew a distance of almost 8,000 kilometers with air-to-air refueling support by France and UAE's Air Force. In a tweet, Indian Air Force thanked both the Air Forces for their cooperation. Earlier, the aircraft were flagged off from the Mérignac Air Base in France by Chief of Air Staff Air Chief Marshal R.K. Bhadauria, who is on a visit to France.
Indian Air Force has been pressed into action to augment the government's efforts to contain COVID-19 in the country. IAF has now started airlifting oxygen containers, cylinders, essential medicine, equipment and medical personnel to assist the government in combating the pandemic. The Air Force has also airlifted doctors and nursing staff from Kochi, Mumbai, Vizag and Bengaluru for the establishment of a DRDO COVID-19 makeshift hospital in Delhi. The IAF has also airlifted DRDO oxygen containers from Bangalore for COVID centers in Delhi. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had directed all defence establishments on Tuesday to ramp up efforts and assist civil authorities in extending all possible assistance to people across the country. The Defence Minister attended a video conference with top ministry officials, including service chiefs and chiefs of defence staff, Bipin Rawat. A roadmap to assist state governments was drawn during the meeting. Defence Minister also suggested that retired military doctors and nursing staff be enlisted for assistance if they volunteer.
Central government has said that door-to-door vaccination for COVID-19 is not possible. In an affidavit filed before the Bombay High Court, Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare stated that the National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID-19 has been guiding all aspects of the vaccination drive in India. It has given 5 reasons for not having a door-to-door policy for vaccination. The affidavit says, in case of adverse event following immunization, that is AEFI, there might be a delay in reaching the health facility and managing that case may not be as per the requirement. It further says there might be challenges to ensure that the beneficiary of the vaccination is under observation for at least 30 minutes after vaccination. The Union government has also informed that the vaccine to be administered might be placed in and out of the vaccine carrier for each vaccination, thereby increasing the chances of contamination and exposure beyond recommended temperature.
The total vaccinations in the country crossed 13 crore 22 lakh mark. These include over 92 lakh healthcare workers, HCWs, who have taken the first dose of COVID vaccine and 58 lakh who took the second dose. Besides, over 1 crore 16 lakh frontline workers received the first dose and more than 59 lakh took the second dose. Union Health Ministry said that more than 21 lakh 21,000 vaccines were given till 8 p.m. yesterday on the 96th day of the nationwide COVID-19 vaccination drive, out of which nearly 14 lakh 35,000 beneficiaries were vaccinated for the first dose and 6 lakh 85,000 beneficiaries received the second dose of the vaccine. Health Ministry said, in view of the sudden spike in the demand for oxygen in some states due to an exponential rise in the number of COVID patients, the centre has increased the quota of oxygen in the states. These states are Maharashtra, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh and Uttarakhand.
Centre has rolled out an allocation plan for distribution of antiviral drug remdesivir in 19 states, reporting higher number of COVID-19 cases. The allocation includes bulk purchases made by the states as well as supplies through private distribution channels. This initial allocation is till the 30th of this month and it will be reviewed constantly in consultation with the states to ensure all needs can be met within the available supplies. The Health Ministry has asked the manufacturers to consider supply orders already made to them, geographical proximity with their state and terms of supply and give inputs for mapping of manufacturers to states for the allocated volumes. The production capacity is being ramped up from the current level of 38 lakh vials per month to 74 lakh vials per month and 20 additional manufacturing sites have been approved. Export of remdesivir has also been prohibited to shore up domestic supplies.
Union Health Ministry has said that presently there are 146 districts in the country where COVID-19 positivity rate is more than 15%, which is a cause of major concern. Addressing media in New Delhi yesterday, Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said that the centre and the states are making their best efforts to come out of the pandemic.
देश में 740 से अधिक जिलों में कुल 146 जिले ऐसे हैं जहां पॉजिटिविटी 15% से अधिक। राज्य सरकारों के लिए भी और भारत सरकार के लिए ये 146 जिले हैं जो चिंता का विषय हैं। हमने राज्य सरकारों से बहुत व्यापक विचार विमर्श किया है कि इन 146 जिलों में किस प्रकार के प्रयास किए जाने चाहिए जिससे कि इन्फेक्शन का ट्रांसमिशन रोका जा सके।
Mr. Bhushan said that the centre and the state governments are working together to strengthen the health facilities, including beds, oxygen and medicines.
इस उत्पादन का 6,600 मीट्रिक टन मेडिकल के ऑक्सीजन के रूप में उपयोग में आता है। अस्पतालों के स्तर पर प्रेशर स्विंग एब्जॉर्प्शन टेक्नोलॉजी PSA प्लांट्स उन्हें कहते हैं, वो हवा से वायु को लेकर ऑक्सीजन में परिवर्तित करते हैं और अस्पताल को या तो सिलेंडर के रूप में भर के देते हैं, नहीं तो अस्पताल की जो मैनीफोल्ड पाइपलाइन है उसमें ऑक्सीजन को देते हैं। तो हमने 162 सरकारी अस्पतालों में इस प्रकार के PSA प्लांट्स की स्वीकृति दी थी, जिनमें से 33 प्लांट अभी फंक्शनल हो गए हैं और लगभग 70 से अधिक प्लांट इस महीने के अंत तक फंक्शनल हो जाएंगे।
On availability of beds, Mr. Bhushan informed that total number of beds in the central government hospitals in Delhi has been increased to 2,105, out of which 230 are ICU beds.
इसके अलावा जो इसमें नहीं है लेकिन जो जानकारी मैं आपको आज देना चाहता हूं वो ये कि रेलवे ने शपूर बस्ती में 50 कोचेज लगाई हैं। इनमें 800 बेड्स हैं। इनमें से कुछ बेड्स में ऑक्सीजन की व्यवस्था है। रेलवे ने आनंद विहार स्टेशन में भी 25 कोचेज लगाई हैं। उनमें 400 बेड्स की आवश्यक की प्रावधान किया गया है। इस प्रकार रेलवे ने शपूर बस्ती और आनंद विहार में कुल 1200 बेड की व्यवस्था की है। इनका उपयोग आइसोलेशन बेड्स के रूप में या ऑक्सीजन बेड्स के रूप में किया जा सकता है।
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has urged the industry to wait and watch for the next few days to assess the situation amid the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic and assure them of full government support. She was addressing the FICCI National Executive Committee members through virtual mode. Speaking on the oxygen supply, Ms. Sitharaman said that the supply has been very neatly mapped and new permissions have been given, particularly for the hard-stressed 12 states. Madhya Pradesh government is working on war footing to augment oxygen production in the state. Here's more from our Bhopal correspondent.
Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has said that every effort to provide oxygen in all the districts for treatment of COVID-19 patients is being made by state government. Out of the 8 oxygen plants approved by the Government of India for the state, 4 oxygen plants have started in Khandwa, Jain, Shivpuri and Sioni districts. 2 plants will start in Mandsaur and Jabalpur in the next 2 days and in Ratlam, Morena district in the next 1 week. Air separation unit using new CSIR technology is also being established in the district hospitals of 5 districts including Bhopal, Indore, Gwalior, Rewa and Shahdol. Meanwhile, over 75,77,900 people have been vaccinated in the state. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Polling is underway for 6th phase of assembly elections in West Bengal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Leaders' Summit on Climate today. Indian Air Force pressed into action to augment government fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Centre hikes oxygen quota for 8 states and union territory. Also unveils new plan for distribution of remdesivir. Government rules out door-to-door corona vaccination. COVID vaccination in the country crosses 13 crore 22 lakh mark. 4 more Rafale fighter jets arrive in India from France. Controller and Auditor General G.C. Murmu appointed external auditor of Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. And Chennai Super Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 18 runs in IPL cricket. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Bihar government has decided to give free vaccine to all above 18 years of age. In a tweet, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar said the state government will bear the cost of administering jabs to all the citizens of the state. With the existing curbs not yielding desired results in containing corona, Maharashtra government has come up with more stringent restrictions. New SOP issued by the State Chief Secretary Sitaram Kunte said that all government and private offices will operate only with 15% attendance except for emergency services directly connected to the management of COVID-19. The stringent restrictions will come into force from 8 p.m. tonight till 7 a.m. on the 1st of May. Our Mumbai correspondent has the details.
The fresh SOP issued by the state government says that private passenger transport, excluding buses, can fly only for emergency or essential services with 50% of the sitting capacity. It said these passenger transport are not expected to be interdistrict or intercity and should be confined to the city of travelers. Interdistrict or intercity travel is allowed only if required for performing as essential service or in case of medical emergencies. The order says that those who are found flouting the order shall be punished by a fine of 10,000 rupees. All government personnel will be allowed to commute via local trains, metro and monorail services on the basis of their identity card only. As per the order, the marriage ceremony may be conducted only in the attendance of 25 persons and it should not extend beyond 2 hours. Also, those who are found flaunting the restraints during the marriage ceremony will be fined 50,000 rupees. The order also states that the local disaster management authority can waive off the rules regarding mandatory stamping for buses arriving from certain origins as per the local conditions. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
The union government has allocated nearly 59,000 vials of remdesivir to Tamil Nadu for the 10-day period from the 21st of April. The state witnessed nearly 11,700 new COVID cases yesterday. More from our Chennai correspondent.
The fresh supply of the investigational therapy drug remdesivir is aimed at meeting the surging demand in the wake of the increasing COVID disease burden. Vaccination drives against the viral disease is being carried out on a war footing in most of the state-run establishments and government office complexes. All the 8 public sector bus transport corporations together have covered more than a quarter of their over 70,000 staff strength through the special vaccination camps at their depots. Officials say almost all the staff will be covered in the next 1 or 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the state health authorities have said sufficient medical oxygen is currently in stock in the state hospitals. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Puducherry, a total number of 1,74,259 persons inoculated so far. These include 1,09,471 general public, 30,473 healthcare workers and 18,128 frontline staffs. More from our Puducherry correspondent.
The Puducherry administration has taken stringent measures to cut the spread of COVID infection. As a part of the measures, the Secretary to Government Ashok Kumar in a press communique informed that the night curfew shall be observed from 10 p.m. to morning 5 a.m. Visitors shall not allowed on beach road from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. Restaurants, food courts and tea shops shall be permitted to operate only till 8 p.m. with 50% seating capacity. Marriages and later gatherings shall be permitted with the guests not exceeding 100 and the number of persons attending funerals shall not exceed 50. Further, the Excise Department also announced that the retail sale of liquor will be allowed up to 10 p.m. and the consumption of liquor inside the licensed premises is restricted up to 8 p.m. only. Chandramohan, Air News, Puducherry.
Gujarat has recorded 12,553 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday. 4,802 patients recovered during the last 24 hours and were discharged from the hospitals. Here's more from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
Maximum 4,821 new cases of COVID-19 reported from Ahmedabad, while Surat recorded 1,849 new cases. 125 patients lost their lives yesterday. With this, the death toll due to COVID-19 in the state has reached up to 5,740. Gujarat has now 84,126 active cases at present, out of which 361 patients are on ventilator. Meanwhile, 1,25,942 persons have been vaccinated in the state yesterday. Now Gujarat has vaccinated 1,716,536 persons till now. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Senior Congress leader and former Delhi Minister A.K. Walia passed away due to COVID-19 this morning. He was 72. Walia was undergoing treatment at a private hospital in Delhi. Noted Islamic scholar Maulana Wahiduddin Khan has passed away. He was 96. He breathed his last at a private hospital in Delhi yesterday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed condolences over the passing away of Maulana Wahiduddin Khan. Mr. Modi said he will be remembered for his insightful knowledge on matters of theology and spirituality.
India's Controller Auditor General CAG G.C. Murmu has been chosen as the external auditor by a prestigious intergovernmental organization working for the elimination of chemical weapons. External Affairs Ministry said the Hague-based Conference of State Parties of the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, selected the CAG as its external auditor for a 3-year term starting 2021. The appointment was made through an election process at the OPCW conference yesterday, where India received overwhelming support ahead of others. The MEA said India's election was a recognition of its standing among the international community, as well as the professionalism, high standards, experience globally, and competitive bid by the CAG of India.
Chennai Super Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 18 runs in IPL cricket. Here's more from our correspondent.
Kolkata Knight Riders, lower order, put up a brave fight but could not get their team past the finishing line as Chennai Super Kings beat them by 18 runs in a high-scoring encounter of the Indian Premier League at the Wankhede Stadium last night. For CSK, it was once again medium pacer Deepak Chahar who rattled KKR with another 4-wicket haul. In an earlier afternoon game yesterday, Sunrisers Hyderabad finally managed to open their account by registering a big 9-wicket win over Punjab Kings in Chennai. Chasing a paltry total of 120, Hyderabad skipper David Warner put on 73 runs opening partnership along with in-form Johnny Bairstow. Earlier, Sunrisers bowlers led by left-arm pacer Khalil Ahmed's 3 for 21 skittled out Punjab Kings for 120 in 19.4 overs. In the game number 16 of the IPL in Mumbai, a weak bowling side of Rajasthan Royals will be up against the challenge of AB de Villiers, Glenn Maxwell and Virat Kohli this evening. In the other sports news, FC Barcelona and Real Madrid are the only 2 clubs left still in the European Super League after the 10 other clubs have backpedaled from the idea. The 6 English Premier League teams, Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham Hotspur, Chelsea and Arsenal, who were said to be founding members of the Super League, have announced to leave and soon were followed by exits from Spanish club Atletico Madrid and Italian giants AC Milan and Inter Milan. Juventus have not officially left yet, but chairman Andrea Agnelli has recognized the Super League will not work in its current format. Barcelona have not announced any plan to leave, but club club president Joan Laporta has made it clear the team will not join the Super League unless the club's members approve it with a vote. In the AFC Champions League group stage clash, FC Goa lost to Iranian powerhouse Persepolis FC 1-2 at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Fatolda. After drawing first two games, the first-time Goan took the lead early through Edu Bedia header, but Persepolis scored twice within the opening half an hour to strip their third win on the trot. Jakarta Asian Games champion in men's 1500 meters Zinson Johnson has virtually ruled himself out of Tokyo Olympics after failing to recover in time from COVID-19 related complications. The 30-year-old Johnson has so far failed to achieve the qualification timings of 3 minutes 35 seconds for Tokyo Games so far. In 2019, his personal best timings of 3 minutes 35.24 seconds in Berlin gave him a confidence to touch the mark soon. But he missed most of the 2020 season through injury and pandemic. Sports Desk, AIR News, Delhi.
Directorate of Revenue Intelligence DRI has seized more than 300 kilograms of cocaine valued at 2,000 crore rupees at Tuticorin port. Based on specific intelligence that cocaine will be concealed in a consignment imported in a container reaching VOC port Tuticorin, the officers of DRI intercepted the container declared to be containing wooden logs. The suspected container originated from Panama, transited through the ports of Antwerp and Colombo. On examination, the suspected container was found containing 9 bags concealed between the rows of wooden logs. On opening the bags, 302 white-colored compressed bricks wrapped in multiple layers of packing material were found. The contraband weighing 303 kilograms, and it is highly suspected to be cocaine.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 17 and 34 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be around 34. Chennai is also expected to have partly cloudy sky. The temperature here will vary between 28 and 36 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have partly cloudy sky with the possibility of development of thunder lightning. The city observed a minimum temperature of 27 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 37 degrees is expected. Srinagar will have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Temperature will hover between 9 and 15 degrees Celsius. Jammu will also have a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The minimum temperature was 17 degrees Celsius, while the maximum should be around 28 degrees. Leh will witness light snow. Minimum and maximum temperature will hover between -4 and 6 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky. The temperature will hover between 7 and 25 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad is likely to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Minimum temperature was 13 degrees Celsius and maximum should be around 22.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Centre steps in to restore oxygen supplies to Delhi is a Hindu headline. Covaxin efficacy 78%, works against variants, says the Times of India. The Pioneer reports that only 0.03% vaccinated get reinfected. For Covaxin, only 0.04% affected with coronavirus again after second dose. Zojila Pass reopens, big relief for Ladakh. Army says the Asian Age. Indian Space Research Organization will support 8 joint research projects mooted by the Space Technology Cell of the Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, is a story in the Tribune. The Financial Express in its headline says that agriculture exports are up by 19% in April-Feb of FY21. And finally is the Pioneer on its front page reports of good Samaritans in these COVID times. Drivers offering to pick up COVID bodies, housewives providing home-cooked food to COVID patients are some of the heart-rending examples.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Polling is underway for the 6th phase of Assembly elections in West Bengal. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to address Leaders' Summit on Climate today. Indian Air Force pressed into action to augment government fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Centre hikes oxygen quota for 8 states and union territory. Also unveils new plan for distribution of remdesivir. Government rules out door-to-door corona vaccination. COVID vaccination in the country crosses 13 crore 22 lakh mark. 4 more Rafale fighter jets arrive in India from France. Comptroller and Auditor General G.C. Murmu appointed External Auditor of Organization for Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. And Chennai Super Kings beat Kolkata Knight Riders by 18 runs in IPL cricket. Well, for details of these stories and more, you may log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.